welcome back. Today, our third installment of my way, my Angie method of how I look at macros. What is flexible dieting to me? So if you missed that, go back 2 episodes to part 1 of flexible dieting, Angie style. Part 2 was all about what is a macronutrient and how can we use that for mindful eating, but also as a way to still have those foods and drinks we love while being in the body that we want. And today, how do you figure out these macros? If you are wanting to lose fat but still enjoy your food, what would be my recommendation for how many calories your macros should equate to, and the percentages that I have seen across the board typically work well for people for them to sustain muscle, to keep them full, but also to be realistic and enjoy life. So let me show you how to find your own macros. And before I forget, I just wanted to say welcome back to the channel. If you are coming back, joining me again, would love to know in the comments, do you macro count? Have you heard of macro count? What questions do you have? And don't forget to give me a like if you haven't subscribed yet. If you could go ahead and hit that button, that red button, give me a subscribe, and don't forget on Instagram at angie.lingzo. That's where I'm sharing all of my recipes, different workout ideas, all the fun, all the fitness, all the mindset, so be sure to jump on over there. All right, so time to get into the episode. What do I recommend mostly when it comes to finding your own ratio of macronutrients? Remember, we're gonna follow the grams of the macros to equate to calories. So first we have to figure out, well, what is the ultimate goal and how aggressive do you want to be with losing weight or dropping body fat? So I typically say, take your body weight, and if you have less than 10 pounds to lose, take that as your current weight times 10 or 11. And that's gonna give you the total calories you should consume in a day. So for example, let's pretend you weigh 150 pounds and you don't have more than 10 pounds to lose. You would take 150 times 10 if you wanna be a little more aggressive. So that's 10 calories per pound of weight, or 11 if you want to be a little bit more moderate, and that would be your total calories for the day. So we're going to take it based off of 150 pounds, and you want to go a little more aggressive, so 10 calories per pound. That's 1,500 calories. So how does that break down into the macronutrients? We're gonna keep this really, really simple. The best thing you can do if you don't wanna figure out the math is go into an app like MyFitnessPal, and there's gonna be 3 dots at the bottom. You go to those 3 dots, you go towards the middle to nutrition goals, click that, towards the middle again, it'll say macronutrients, and that's where you can put in customized goals. So you would just pop in there, you would change out your macros to be 1,500 calories. And then if you don't have premium, then you are just gonna scroll up and down with the percentages for your proteins, your carbohydrates, and your fat. So here's my recommendations on how to choose your percentages. Now this is just based off of personal experience, coaching thousands of people. You need to have your protein dialed in above all of the other 3 nutrients. You can have flexible with the other 2. And so for protein, I always recommend starting at 30%. So you can go ahead and you can flip that in your goal to 30%. And then if you're more active, you might want more carbohydrates for activity outside of your normal rhythm. So normal energy for just brain function. If you move a lot more, if you have more of a labor type job, if you work out a lot, if you do a lot of cardio, I would set your carbohydrates to 40% and your fat to 30%. Once you do that and you click away, you will notice it's gonna give you a gram per macronutrient. And so now you know how many grams of each of these you are working towards, how many you should build in for your day. So maybe you put 30% for your 1,500 calories for protein. That means that 30% of those calories is gonna go towards protein. And so if you just do the math, you put it in your MyFitnessPal, maybe that says it's 120 grams. Now you know what you're working with. And it's just like a puzzle game. So you just start plugging your food in. Now, how do you know if it's working? So what you'd wanna do, if you set your goal to lose weight, so remember you took your weight times 10. Now you know how many calories. Now you know you put your percentages in and you're hitting your macros, and you're actually hitting your macros. You're not just kind of putting it in and guesstimating, like you're using your food scale. So you're measuring your food, you're doing your due diligence, you're actually checking a couple entries in MyFitnessPal, and you are nailing your targets, and your weight isn't going in the direction you want. After 2 weeks of consistently hitting them, I would drop your calories a bit more. So you just pull off a little bit from your carbs and your fats, making your calorie intake lower, and you keep moving towards a leaner self. Now, what if you have more than 10 pounds to lose? I would recommend then taking your first goal body weight. So let's pretend you weigh 200 pounds and your first goal body weight is more than 10 pounds down, so it's 180. I would find your first calorie benchmark based off that first goal weight. So you could take 180 times 10, that's 1,800 calories, pop in MyFitnessPal, choose if you are more active. I want you to set your macros at 30% protein, 40% carb, 30% fat. And then if you're not as active, if you sit down a little bit more during the day, you might not need as many carbohydrates. So in that case, I actually like to keep the protein even higher. So I would have you, if you're more sedentary, go 35% protein, 35% carb, 30% fat. We still need those carbs in there, even if we're not as active as we think. We need them for, function of everyday type physiological processes, brain function, all that good stuff. And so again, then you're just tracking. You're making sure your weight is consistently going down with the prescribed macros that you put in for yourself. If it's not, after 2 weeks of consistently hitting those numbers, you make a little drop down. You take a little bit away from the carbs, a little bit away from the fat, and you keep moving in that direction. So hopefully that made sense. It really is just a number game, and it's just getting in there and tracking your food and weighing your food and figuring out, are you moving in the direction you want to go? And if not, what needs to be addressed? And so, yeah, let me know if that made sense. If you have any questions, drop them below. Thank you so much for joining me for the Macro Part 3 series, and I'm happy to do any other coaching or training you need on macros. Just let me know.